diplomatically boxed into a corner where General Asim Munir can, whenever he chooses, trigger a terror attack.
I'm not sure where you get your admiration for him from.
What's your reading of the extreme concentration of power that we're seeing in Islamabad under the new Chief of Defence Forces? And is that to India's advantage or disadvantage that you've got now Asim Munir so deeply entrenched in power?
Look, reflect on the last 80 years of Pakistan, which has paralleled our own independence era. For the bulk of it, in one way or the other, the military has either been overtly, covertly, in a hybrid manner. Essentially, it's been in command. In some cases, it's more visible and naked in a way. In some cases, it is less so. But what is the important point there is, when we hear people comment on our policies, I reflect sometimes. I have two neighbors, one to the east and one to the west, and the one to the east also has had for a substantial time of the same period, post 47, the military in command. But the military to the east is treated very differently. The military regime to the east is treated very differently from the military regime to the west. So what does it tell you? It tells you at the end of the day that much of the world actually, for all the homilies that you get, really, in reality, when it suits them, they can, turn facts around upside down and do what they have to do. So in another context, you use the word transactional. In many ways, the world has always been transactional. There are good terrorists and bad terrorists, there are good military rulers and apparently not so good ones. So I think for us, the reality of the Pakistani army has always been, and much of our problems actually emanate from there. When you look at the terrorism, when you look at the training camps, when you look at the sort of a policy of a kind of, I would say almost ideological hostility towards India, where does that come from? It comes from the army.
Since diplomacy is so much about optionality, given our attacks after Uri and now Pahalgam, are we diplomatically boxed into a corner where General Asim Munir can, whenever he chooses, trigger a terror attack at some part in India, and you've already de facto announced to the world or signaled to the world your intent that you will strike back somewhere or the other?
No, look, I think, I'm not sure where you get your admiration for him from.
I have no admiration for him. I'm quite disgusted by some of what he's done.
I can only say that, look, at the end of the day, look at the state of Pakistan and, see the differentials and the capabilities and frankly the reputation on either side. I think, look, we should not get over obsessed and hyphenate ourselves with them. Yes, there is a challenge, there are issues there, we'll deal with it. So, relax, we'll handle it.
Since you spoke of our neighbor in the east, Sheikh Hasina is in India, and in this
by the way, that wasn't the neighbor in the east I had. I had the one for.
I'm saying, I'm talking about. Is in India, and so far we've held off all pressure that's being made by Dhaka to send her back to face trial. How do you see Delhi's relationship with Dhaka play out, given the fact that you've got one very key political player and those in power at the moment have a very different view on her?
Well, what we heard was that people in Bangladesh, particularly those who are now in power, had an issue with how the elections were conducted earlier. Now, this is not our issue. We are a well-wishing neighbor. Now, if the issue was the election, then you would imagine that the first order of business would be to do a fair election, which has hopefully something would, election would happen soon. It's their business. But at the end of the day, if the entire issue was about fair elections, then it makes sense that elections are held. So as far as we are concerned, we wish Bangladesh well. We think as a democratic country, any democratic country likes to see the will of the people ascertained through a democratic process. And, I'm quite confident that whatever comes out of the democratic process would have a balanced and mature view about the relationship, and hopefully things would improve.
And Sheikh Hasina is welcome to stay for as long as she wants?
Well, that's a different issue, isn't it? I mean, she came here in a certain circumstance, and I think that circumstance clearly is a factor in what happens to her. But again, that is something in which she has to make up her mind.